You realize with some shock that in each of these cases you are witnessing the death of a euphemism. The death of a euphemism is a rare celestial event. Politicians only let a euphemism die when they don't need it anymore.
At the mercy of the great algorithm.
Ran his original quotes from back in '94. Ehrlichman, now out of prison and out of politics, felt, I guess, that he had nothing to lose, so he was going to be honest about why they started the war on drugs. And if you remember, it was Nixon. The Nixon administration started what they called the war on drugs back in 1971. Turns out, it was not because they were concerned that drugs were really dangerous for Americans. It was for attacking their political enemies. Now, again, you might think, like, come on, this sounds conspiratorial. First of all, it's the guy who did the conspiracy who's admitting it. Second of all, he got arrested for and convicted on another conspiracy. It's not like he's shy about conspiracies. And Nixon, third of all, had an enemies list. These are all facts. So now here's Ehrlichman in his own words. He says, the Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities.
Disappointment.
And I know you want to go all around the world to save the creature comforts made up of that misery. Endless growth is the more and you can burn around for your goals to let everyone around you see.
Well, you know, I don't want to completely walk away from my youth.
Who are the stars of those movies? Not the coolest characters, the main ones.
Okay, Luke, Snorlando, Bloom, Chia LaQueef, Neo, that girl that's bored that vampires are real.
I bet you can't think of a single time that you've quoted any of those characters, despite the fact that those are the most quoted movies of the last 25 years.
I'm Harry Potter, damn it! Quidditch or quit it.
No, you're right, there's nothing. Exactly.
You might be newborn, but you're not new under the sun. Said the universe, you really ought to learn to take my advice. I told you once, I won't tell you twice. Said the universe, you really ought to learn to take my advice. You might be newborn, but you're not new under the sun. Said the universe, you really ought to learn to take my advice. I told you once, I won't tell you twice. Said the universe, you really ought to learn to take my advice.
Ehrlichman goes on. He says, we could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news.
So again, I think I said this before in the same interview, I think at some time before, my job is to somehow make them curious enough or persuade them by hook or crook to get more aware of themselves and where they came from and what they are into and what is already there, and just to bring it out. This is what compels me to compel them, and I will do it by whatever means necessary. Everybody is half dead. Everybody avoids everybody. All over the place, in most situations, most all the time. I know I'm one of those everybody. And to me, it is terrible. And so all I'm trying to do all the time is just to open people up so they can feel themselves and let themselves be open to somebody else. That is all.
We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today.
If we had really reached the postmodern in its fullest sense, it would be the computers unplugging us and not the reverse. The postmodern is a blurring of the lines between human beings and machines, a blurring of the line between reality and image. The apocalypse has already occurred. It wasn't religious or anything. It was not atomic bombs. At some point in the development of technology, human beings ceased to be the reason of things, and things took on their own reasons.
when I've entered a courtroom, I understand that I am in the final act of the film, and so it will be reenacted at some point by future artists reinterpreting our work. And so I'm on stage. When I'm in court, I am on stage. And there has been an audience that has paid $30 to crawl through the crawl space to get to the performance room.
That nothing he said or did as part of his television or radio show could be used against him because he is doing performance art or he's playing a character.
What's the problem with that? I first met Andy Warhol when I was a young street hustler in New York City, and I was vouched for by Keith Haring, and Keith was one of my most influential heroes. And he said, you know what, you should do something really dangerous and go into a deep character. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, become Mephistopheles himself for a long time. And we lost Andy, and we lost Keith Haring, and it really hurt me, and I was never able to get out of character after that. Backpack to Texas, and as any artist happens, any good artist, your work is misunderstood. Your work can be misunderstood by those that it's intended to influence. All I've ever tried to do is discredit the absolute hatred that is in my voice at all times.
When Oshun comes down with the other deities, and they treat her as if she is unemployed.